You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. My apologies for starting off so late today, folks. We were having some technical difficulties, but we're ready to go now. This edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba is brought to you by Evolve Green and AETi. We got a great show in store for you guys today. Harry Siemens will be joining the Farm Report to start things off here in this show. It's got to fix the strand of hair here, unable to. But Harry Siemens will be joining the show first off on the Farm Report. He'll be joining the show to just give us an update on agriculture here. And then Lorena Mitchell will be joining the show in a pre-recorded edition of the Solar Report, the weekly Solar Report we do here on the network. Then we're going to talk to Gordie Tumilson, the marketing director and goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, as well as Football in Manitoba executive director Bill Johnson. Then we got another edition of Graham's Opinion coming up at the end of the show. That's all coming up on today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show. We're going to throw it to a quick commercial break here after the intro and then bring on Harry Siemens, the first guest in today's episode here on Rise and Shine Manitoba show on ASTV. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba. I had to take a quick commercial break there, but we're ready to go now. Harry Siemens joining us now on the Farm Report. Well, joining me on the Farm Report, brought to you by Wolf Enterprises. On this Wednesday morning, Harry joining us from his home virtually this wonderful Wednesday morning here in October 2021. Harry, October almost coming to an end. Halloween this Sunday. Seems like time just keeps ticking and ticking along. How have things been with you in the past week?
Well, just wanted to say that I am from Winkler, Manitoba. There's two kinds of people in this world: those that live here and those who would like to live here. That's my first point this morning. Secondly, I have the privilege of having my birthday on Halloween, and I'm going to be 75 years old this Sunday. And I'm going to be on with Clay Young at CJOB Radio, and we're going to be talking agriculture and a bit about birthdays and Halloween. But you know what? It's good. I'm still continuing to recover from my COVID that I've had since, don't have it now, but I'm recovering from it. But agriculture, once there's frost on the pumpkin, once we see frost on the windshields and on the roofs, then farmers need to just refocus a little bit about what they're doing as far as field preparation is concerned, what they're doing with crop protection products and so forth. So right now we're heading towards the end of October, and I believe that most of the field work is probably done. I mean, there was an extension as far as we talked about last week about manure application till November the 22nd. So again, it'll all depend on what the weather is like. And it's you're still seeing corn coming off and some sunflowers, but I believe, for all intents and purposes, the crop in Manitoba, whatever crop there was, is in the bin. And that's a good thing, and now the farmers have to continue to watch and look forward to making sure that crop, it's such a huge value. Just to give you an example, I have a trucker friend, and I'm not going to name him because he showed me an invoice of a truckload of flax that he picked up in Saskatchewan, and it's going to a pet food manufacturing plant in Indiana. But he showed me the invoice, and that flax was like $1,667 a ton, and that's U.S. funds. So in Canadian funds, that's well over $2,000 a ton. And I remember when flax was like $400 and $500 a ton. So that's the kind of value that farmers have in the bin. And that particular load, 23 tons, I think the dollar value of it was $37,000 in U.S. funds. So that's almost $50,000, one truckload of flax. And so, that's just putting into perspective. But now on the other, put the shoe on the other foot. My brother Jack continues to farm, and he's going to be 84 in November, and he told me about how he had priced out fertilizer, and there was a time when fertilizer costs were like $25 and $30, maybe $40 an acre. He priced out fertilizer at $174 an acre. That's just fertilizer. That's just one input crop. It doesn't include any work, doesn't include any seed or anything else. So that's $174 an acre. So when we see the high prices on one side, they have to be that high in order for the farmers to make any kind of return on their investment. And the other thing that he told me about that one was, and that's if he paid it by November 1st. He forward priced that particular fertilizer he bought. And he said it had already gone up from when he pegged in his price. But he's got to pay for the fertilizer November the 1st. And that fertilizer doesn't go into the ground until May 2020. So he's putting out the cash. And that doesn't even mean that there'll be a return, because we're still in a drought cycle, even though we had lots and lots of rain. So, hey, that's a pretty long introduction, Graeme, but I'll give you a chance to take a breath. I'll take a breath. You ask a question.
Yeah, sounds good. Crazy that the price of fertilizer that high. That's nuts. But we were talking about the federal government last week on the show, and just talking about them pulling out on fertilizer use for the in terms of the environment. That's what that had to do with. Give us updates on. Or an update on if we've seen any developments in the story there. Give us an update on that.
Well, not so much a specific update, but an indication of what I think is going to be coming. Number one, Agriculture Minister Bibeau was reinstated as the Agriculture Minister for Canada. She's been the Agriculture Minister since I think since Trudeau became the Prime Minister. So some Agriculture Minister Bibo. That's one familiar cabinet minister. But in Western Canada right now, especially Manitoba, Saskatchewan, we have no cabinet ministers. But he put a fella in charge of the climate control and environment that is, in my opinion, way out on the left field. I mean, he's so far left that maybe he thinks he's right. But with that indication of that announcement, that simply means that when the federal government announced a 30% reduction in fertilizer emissions, I simply feel very strongly that's exactly what they mean. And as we talked before, that's going to cost farmers an awful lot of money. So anyway, that's all I can say about that. We have the same ag minister that we had before when Trudeau announced the new cabinet, and we've got some other shifts. Jim Carr was our minister for without portfolio, I believe, but he was the representative for Western Canada. Jim Carr is no longer a minister either. So Winnipeg, Manitoba does not have a cabinet minister in the federal cabinet.
There was something that we didn't talk about last week. You told me before air you were in the middle of doing a news release. Now, I'm not sure if you can remember quite what I'm talking about, but what type of news release were you talking about last week? The news release you were currently in the making of doing last week. Just talk about that a bit.
Oh man, you know what? There's so many things, I'm not sure which one. We did talk about a story that I put out that had to do with farmers beware of what kind of feed they're buying.
Yeah.
You know, that was the one thing. And I just, again, I write for various, I just saw that published in the Ontario Farmer, which is the big farm publication in Ontario. And so that, again, it's very significant that farmers are aware of what, you know what, and it's everybody should be aware. I mean, how many times don't we see in Winkler, Morden, Altona, where the police, their headline stories are another fraud, another social media fraud, another internet fraud, or whatever it may be. So we've got to be careful what it is we're buying, because you have no idea where and when things aren't as they appear. So that was the other thing that I was talking about. And you know, yesterday we talked about the hog industry a week ago, and yesterday the Manitoba Pork Council, which is representative of all the hog producers in Manitoba. It's a producer-run organization. It's called the Manitoba Pork Council. The chair is Rick Prige, who's from Notre Dame, and the general manager is Cam Dahl, and both of them are new. There's a new chairman and a new general manager, executive director. And so they had their annual producer meeting, which is always held in fall. Initially, we thought we would go to Niverville for that meeting, and then they changed it because everybody who came there needed to be vaccinated, and they had very few registrants. So they went back to a Zoom meeting. So yesterday afternoon, it was a Zoom meeting, producer meeting with hog producers in Manitoba. And again, they talked about the value of the hog industry. They talked about their 5-year plan as to how they need to get the hog producers into a position where they can actually make return on investment. You know, we've seen the hog industry for 50 years, and I've covered it for 50 years. And there's been a move back on return on investment. And so we need to see some things there. And the other thing that was of significance yesterday is the fact that they want to deal with local politicians, you know, the RM councils and so forth, and convince them and show them that hog production is a benefit. It's safe. It's a benefit not only for the jobs, the cash flow, but also the manure that we can spread on lands. It's awesome fertilizer. So the hog industry in Canada is worth $25 billion. That's billion with a B dollars, right across Canada. And, you know, and that's nothing to sneeze about. And so we want to make sure that we and the hog industry is very responsive. They're responsible from the fact that they're not going to put up hog barns where there are already too many hog barns, maybe. So they go into areas where there's a lot less and more open spaces, and where farmers can actually use the hog manure and put it on their fields. If you're talking about this one particular anhydrous ammonia being $174, like I said about my brother, can you imagine what that hog manure as a fertilizer nutrient is worth? And that's totally natural. And so it's a real challenge. In fact, in Iowa, they raise hogs, not so much for the hogs, but they raise hogs for the fertilizer benefit. And so they'll put up hog barns, and they'll make sure the hogs go to market. They're all looked after well, but that's almost a side product. It's the fertilizer from those hogs that they want to put onto their fields.
Yeah. $25 billion, what the industry is worth. Just that's some big money right there, Harry. I gotta say, that's a big number. Was not quite expecting that figure to be said when you talk about the value of it. But talking about switching months, of course, October almost over, going into November, we'll most likely see some snow falling soon here. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, but how do farmers handle that change from just seeing those leaves falling and all the way to just us seeing snow on the ground? How they handle just adjusting to that?
Well, it's as I said earlier, the most important thing is to get the field work done. And I asked my brother. He farms together with his son about 1,500 acres. I said, "What about your fall work?" Well, he says, "We did 300 acres out of 1,500, and the rest we're just going to leave in zero till." So they didn't till that. They didn't move that soil at all. From when the combine came, it took off the crop. That particular stubble field stands just like that until next spring, when they take the air seeder and they put the seed into that stubble. And so they do two things. They trap the moisture. And this year, because of some of the crops not being what they haven't used all the fertilizer. So they didn't want to disturb the soil, because there's still a significant amount of fertilizer from what they applied this year available for next year. So how do they handle it? Basically, sometimes they're happy to put the machinery back into the shed, and from there, they start to look at what's going on in the fall. Sometimes it's meetings, sometimes it's different things, but sometimes it's just simply taking a break and catching their breath, and because of the change in scenery.
Yeah, always nice for to catch your breath. Take a chill a bit and kind of relax, which is nice that farmers will be able to do that once this season changes, once we get that snowfall. But we'll end off with this, Harry. Siemens says, Harry Siemens, farming tip of the week for farmers.
The farming tip of the week is simply, and I was going to use it as part of my last comment, soil moisture conservation is a really important part of farming. And so my tip today is, farmers, do what you can, do as little as you can with soil movement, but at the same time, we need that snow cover. And when you leave that stubble out there, you're actually able to catch the snow, because we're still in a mini drought situation. We need moisture. So my tip of the week is simply leave that soil, and I don't need to tell farmers that, but this is for the benefit of other viewers as well, is that leave that soil intact, catch the moisture, reserve the moisture, and get at it again next spring.
Well, as always, some great words on Siemens says, Harry Siemens, farming tip of the week, and just great catching up with you this week, Harry. Great to have you on here. The Farm Report, as always, on Rise and Shine Manitoba show. We'll catch you next week and talk more about agriculture here on the show.
Have a good week.
Yeah, you too, Harry. Take care. Harry Siemens, the man on the farm report, talking about agriculture on this Wednesday morning. We may have started this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba late, but that does not change the plans of who we're going to see in today's episode. You guys already watched Harry give his farm report for this week on this Wednesday, but coming up, we're gonna go and learn about some solar news. The solar report here, the weekly solar report on Rise and Shine Manitoba, coming up with Lorena Mitchell on Manitoba show Rise and Shine here on ASTV. Stick around for more after this commercial break.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions Manitoba show. Today brought to you by Evolve Green, the commercial you guys just watched, and AETi. You guys will be seeing more from Evolve Green as this show rolls along. But yeah, welcome back to this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. It's now time for the weekly solar report here on the show. Lorena Mitchell, host of Evolution Greenworks here on the network, of course, the CEO and founder of Evolve Green, and joins the show every week to give her solar report. She's been doing it pre-recorded. She's got another pre-recorded version of the report again this week. And not only is she going to talk about solar news, but also some other stuff as well that she likes to talk about during this segment here on the solar report on Rise and Shine, coming up now.
Welcome to the Solar Report for Wednesday, October 27th, 2021. My name is Lorena Mitchell, and it's kind of interesting. They're trying to tell us now that the weather is going to get actually colder as we come into the winter time, but we're just going to have less precipitation. With that, that means less snow. So drought conditions will likely continue in the spring. But in the interim, they're saying that we are actually going to have another warm spell. I know we're almost the end of October. This is just crazy. So if we're looking at the 7-day forecast coming up for around Winnipeg, but this is pretty close to what we're going to see in southern Manitoba as well. The precipitation is going to happen today, though. We should get some rain. So periods of rain, light rain. It's going to go to 9 Celsius today. Tomorrow, the sun is going to come back. We're going to be partly cloudy with a mix of sun and cloud. And Friday, the sunshine will be back at 13 Celsius for a high, 6 Celsius for a low. But the clouds will be on Saturday. High of 8 Celsius. Still really good for this time of year. And then Sunday, of course, we're going to be partly cloudy, and it is going to be a high of +4, low of -4. So for Halloween, if you guys are venturing out this year, it still should be quite nice. And there's going to be no rain in the forecast, which is really interesting. So Monday and Tuesday, we're going to see the sunshine again. But we're getting a little colder. So Monday is going to be a high of +1, Tuesday a high of +2. Overnight lows for Monday are -7. So we still should be looking at some nice temperatures for Halloween, as mentioned. So, anytime we don't have to do too much, that's pretty good. So then moving on, we are looking at our auroral zones here to see what kind of activity we've got going on. And as we move on into that, we're noticing extreme quiet over the next 7 days or so. So we're not going to see too much in the aurora borealis or any penetrations right now. So we're just going to. Sorry here. Bear with me a second. Share screen. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, everything has been calm over the last 24 hours and quiet. So again, no aurora borealis activity. As we look to the next 24 hours, again, we're going to be pretty much quiet. We've got a little bit of unsettledness uh, about 24 hours from now, but I don't think that's going to be enough to see any aurora borealis. You can see it has been quite calm over the past week. And moving forward, we expect quiet for the most part with a little bit of unsettledness in the auroral region. That would be like northern Manitoba again. So subaraural is down here in the east, southeast. And moving along, we are going to oh my goodness. This is just, yeah. I'm having trouble, a little technical difficulties on this, and so we are just going to try and bear through it. We wanted to next talk about, oh, right. So in solar news and storage, Tesla has been kind of leading the way in, talking about storage and of course their EV cars and all of that stuff. But their company actually just hit a market value of $1 trillion. I'm just gonna try and bring that share. Here we go. Yeah, so they just inked a deal with Hertz, who ordered 100,000 electric cars for their fleet. And those are going to be in the market by next year, some of them starting to trickle in. Those 100,000 vehicles has what's put the company over that $1 trillion value set. So that's pretty interesting that Hertz is going to go all electric pretty much here over the next while. They're trying to hit their 2030 emissions again. So just like the country, everybody is trying to work towards emission free by 2030. Next, we're going to talk about Apple news. They are also trying to hit their 2030 emissions deals, and they're basically going after all of their suppliers, which is pretty interesting. So they've taken another big step and announced that they have doubled the number of suppliers committed to using 100% clean energy over the last year, accelerating the progress towards that ambitious 2030 goal to be carbon neutral across its supply chain. This we brought to you out of apple.com. Check them out. They give you all the latest news on what Apple is trying to do for the environment and moving forward to their emissions goals. Also, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different here. We're talking about lithium batteries, and usually they can be recycled. A lot of people don't realize that. But this is interesting that an entrepreneur out of California, what they have done is they're buying up old leaf batteries, and they're actually in a place where time of day usage, so it's cheaper at like later in the night, and much more expensive during the day. And so what they are doing, which is pretty interesting, is they are employing a storage system on the grid for their customers, and they are simply storing it up in the batteries when it's cheap and selling it back to the grid when it's when they get more money for it. So it's kind of a interesting trade proposition. I would like to see long term what this is gonna do, like how the utility response is going to be, because over time they could change their policies on how they're doing their selling for their customers. So basically, like I said, they're buying it up at night, storing up the batteries, and then selling it back to the grid during the day. So that's pretty interesting. We don't have time of day usage here in Manitoba, but they actually do have that in parts of Ontario. So it's not like it couldn't happen in Canada. But right now, if you're on a net meter agreement with Power One, with Hydro One, sorry, they actually take you off time of day usage right away. So I don't know that it's actually ostensibly possible in Ontario with their current programs. So going on from there, there is a new study talking again about lithium batteries. The new study for recycled lithium batteries out of Worcestershire Polytech Institute, a team of researchers out of the U.S. Advanced Battery Consortium has discovered with their new study that recycled lithium batteries are actually better, a little bit better than buying new, because when they recycle them, or when they redo them, basically, they're all with the latest technology and work amazing. So the new study says that they are better. They're talking about not just lithium batteries in the sense of like solar and the big storage systems. They're talking about even the small ones, right? So, and they are also putting in a bit of graphene into the new ones. And I think that's what's prolonging the charge, so that it actually is better than the original lithium itself. So that's it for today's solar news. We'll talk to you next week. Graeme, thank you for having me. And I just wanted to say, have a solar day. I know it's going to be a little bit cloudy today, guys, but we'll leave you with...
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary...
Already played that commercial, but Lorena Mitchell joining us on the Solar Report here on this Wednesday morning. Nice to hear from her. Hoping that she has a wonderful rest of her week, of course. And also forgot to mention this to Harry. Happy early birthday to him. Of course, he has his birthday on Halloween, so it should be a good one for Harry Siemens, Man on the Farm Report here on Rise and Shine. We're going to take another commercial break here. You guys are going to hear from a sponsor that I didn't talk about in this episode because we need to get some more commercials in here, but we're going to take a quick commercial break, and I'll be back with Football Manitoba Executive Director Bill Johnson to talk about what's been happening in Football Manitoba since the last time we've talked, and as well as what's coming up for Football Manitoba here on Rise and Shine Manitoba show on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break.
Big Systems Beauty College is a little bit unique in respect to the way we teach our program. We don't do so much structure and learning and block teaching. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. If they can move faster, they do so. Therefore, learning everything earlier and getting more practice in all segments of hairstyling as opposed to just being stuck in one section for a certain period of time. try to accommodate all the different learning styles.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba. Joining the show now is Bill Johnson, Executive Director of Football Manitoba. Bill, it's been a while since we've spoken. How have things been with you since the last time that we spoke? How have things been with Football Manitoba since the last time we spoke?
It's been busy. It's been really nice to have tackle football back on the field and getting everyone playing again. So it's been a very busy fall for us, just like we like it.
Great to hear. Great to hear that tackle football is back. Of course, it's been so long. Of course, not getting the normal season last year due to the pandemic. Nice to see we're back to some normal here, Bill. Talking about what have the restrictions been looking like in terms of what football has been able to be allowed to be played here in Manitoba as of late.
Well, the restrictions are more around the peripherals of the game, I'll say, the crowd size, the access to locker rooms, shared water bottles, things like that. The actual gameplay has been just what you would expect, and it's been, I think, a very necessary distraction for a lot of the football players in our community who are quite enjoying being back on the field after over a year away.
Yeah, for sure. Great to hear that we're seeing some normalcy in the game. Of course, you like to talk about, of course, there are some restrictions with the parameters with crowd sizes and stuff like that. But great to see, like I said, football being played here once again, and football here in Manitoba in regards to tackle. But let's talk about some of the things that are coming up, some of the things that you wanted to speak about. The championships this weekend coming up. Fill us in on what's going to be going down there.
Yeah, so we're playing at the Eastside Eagles field this year. Normally these games take place at IG Field, but for a variety of reasons, COVID being the largest, we've moved them to a smaller venue. So we'll be at Eastside Eagles Field, and there's games occurring Saturday. We have at 9 a.m. We have Adam 7's championship, 12:30 Adam 9's, 4 o'clock U19 championships, and then at 7 p.m. on Saturday, it's the Major League Championship, MMJFL. And then on Sunday at 9 a.m., we have the Pee Wee 7s, 12:30, the Pee Wee 12s, and then at 4 o'clock, the Bantams are playing for a championship. So it's going to be an action-packed weekend. And also in the next couple of weeks, we'll have the high school bowl games coming up. Those will be finalized probably the next week or two as the high school regular season wraps up. So check out WHSFL's website and social media, and you can find some exciting football games to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Going to be a jam-packed weekend for Football Manitoba. Of course, they're playing at the Eastside Eagles Field. Lots of different age groups going to be in action for this championship weekend here. Talking about, high school football, just how nice it's been to see that back, seeing kids representing their schools this year.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, it's I don't know that people well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know that people outside of the game understand the impact it can have on some of these kids. These kids want to be a part of their team. They want to be on the field playing the game, and to take that away for an entire year was very, very difficult. And obviously, I mean, there were difficulties in all avenues of life with COVID and the pandemic, and there still are to an extent. But I think that for some of these kids, this is their this is their domain. This is where they love to be, and these are the people they want to be with. So having it back out there was just it's an incredibly positive thing for our community and for a lot of the individuals involved.
Yeah, no doubt about it. High school football, awesome that it's been back this season. Great to see that. Talking about flag football tournaments and winter flag coming up, just break down what type of flag tournaments we're going to be seeing coming up here first off before we get into winter flag. For
sure. We have on November 6th at the U of W, we're running a tournament for U12 division. So that's 10 and 11-year-olds. And then on the 13th, it's U14. And then on the 20th, we're running a division for U16. as well as an all-girls high school girls division. And those will be at the Recplex. You can register for them on our website. It's $50 to register, minimum of 3 games. As many as 6 games can be played in the weekend. So it'll be a really cool opportunity to get people back on the field. And that's kind of to gear up for our Winter Flag League, which is starting a little bit later this year. The U of W is redoing their turf over Christmas. So we'll be back on January 15th rather than we're usually just before Christmas. This year we'll be just after. But it'll be a full season of indoor flag every Saturday. So sign up. Registration will be opening for that in the next couple of weeks, and it's a great opportunity. I mean, parents love it because you can show up. You can park your car underground there at the U of W, leave your coat in the car, and walk indoors all the way up to the field and watch your kids play for a couple hours, and then let your car thaw out a little bit in those crisp February days. So it's a really cool thing, and it gets the kids a chance to run around. A lot of kids out there don't play hockey, and they're looking for a team sport in the winter, and this is a chance to get out there and run around a bit.
Yeah, well, Manitobans gotta love that, leaving the coat in the car during this February months, going to watch some football. That's great. Talking about flag football, we've talked about it so many times how it's a growing game here in Manitoba, especially. Talk about how this Winter League has grown throughout the years for you guys, and what type of numbers we're seeing in terms of registration in the past years.
We partner with Pitt Football on this league. So this was an idea that we had John Franklin, who oversees things at Pitt there, and I were talking about this a few years ago, and it's something we thought, hey, maybe an indoor game, we'll see how it goes. And so we capped our registration at 300 kids the first year, and we sold out. It was we had to turn some kids away. That was 4 years ago. And then a couple years after that, we raised our registration up to 400, and we sold out again. And this year we're shooting for somewhere between 400 and 450, and I would imagine those spots will fill up very, very quickly. There's just a huge demand for kids to be able to play. As I said, there's kids who don't play hockey and they want to be part of a team sport, and we get a ton of kids who play in this league who don't play flag in the summer because maybe they're cottage families, maybe they play baseball, something else, and they just want a chance to play some football, and it's a really cool thing that we can do it indoors. We have some incredible facilities around the city with the Recplex and the soccer complexes to play indoor in the winter. So it's a cool thing, and we decided to take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure. And flag football, like I said, I've played the sport. It's so fun. It's, the fun of football without that risk of getting clocked out there, like in tackle football, less risk of head injury, stuff like that. So, great to know that the numbers, the interest keeps growing year in and year out, and going to be interesting to see how big this gets as the years continue to go along. But let's talk about the HP programming coming up. What exactly is the HP programming?
Yeah, so our high performance stream is it's all our U16 and U18 provincial teams. Unfortunately, they didn't happen in 2020, so we didn't get a chance to do that. But our U18 stream feeds into an opportunity to go to the Canada Cup, a national tournament, and U16 get to go to a regional tournament, which is Western Canadians. It's an incredible experience for these kids. I got to travel with the team to Kingston in 2019, and it was just an incredible experience for those kids. They go to the U18 tournament. They meet U Sport coaches are all there. There's a recruitment fair. They get to go learn about the schools that they're looking at, or if they want to go, say they're looking at a community college route or something different. There's chances to meet with CJFL reps and look at teams like the Rifles, for instance, and a chance to play there as well. It's a really, really cool experience. And even the kids who don't maybe want to go on and travel or who don't make the team to go on and travel, they get coached by some of the best coaches in the province. We have Bison coaches out there. We have Rifles coaches out there. We have some of our best amateur coaches in the province coaching these kids up. And it's a great, great chance for them to develop their skills and work on some things in the off season, if you will, and improve what they're trying to do. So we have some introductory sessions. We've decided to do something a little bit different this year because we didn't have 2020 programming at all. So we've actually scheduled some fall programming this year, starting on the 27th of November and running on the 4th and the 11th of December as well. So these will be on Saturday afternoons. We want kids to come out. We'll divide them into their position group, and they just get a chance to work on some skills. There's going to be a combine done by Sport Manitoba, sports science staff in the middle of it all as well. So they get some data. They can compare themselves to their friends. I know kids love that kind of stuff. I'm a little bit faster than you. I run a better 40 than you, things like that. So it'll be kind of cool to have that kind of data, and they can compare themselves year over year as well. So if they come back to our camps next year, they get their data. It's all recorded on this a secure website they can log into. They can see where they were last year, where they are this year, how their training's benefiting them. And then, and like I said, they get coached by some of the best coaches in the province. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to ask the question about, just the competitive nature of what this creates. Of course, recording data, kids always love to compete. That's the nature of the sport. You got to be competitive, right? Not only in football, but in other sports as well. Do you think that having data like that is essential in a way to, creating even more competition than there even was already?
Yeah, I think it creates competition within positions, stats, within teams, for instance. But I think it also creates a little bit of intrinsic competition. So you look at your 40 time, and maybe you want to get 10% faster by next year, and it motivates you. It helps you to have some measurables and some things to look for as an individual to motivate yourself to get better. And I think that's kind of a cool thing too. It's hard to do when you don't have a measurable to just say, well, I want to be faster, because you don't know. You can only go by what you feel. So this is it gives kids some hard data to use to help set some goals.
Yeah, for sure. And, looking at this data, like, of course, they do testing at like the NFL Combine, for example, the combines in sports. Do you feel like this data that is being recorded is going to be helpful for teams maybe wanting to take a look at a kid down the line, looking at their history?
For sure, it's really important to have that kind of data if you're being recruited. There's a small percentage of kids, but there's always a group that's recruited by schools across the country, across North America, and they want to have they'll ask you that kind of data. So that's one of the reasons that we contract Sport Manitoba's sports science team to do this stuff, because they use laser timers, and they do everything much more effectively than a guy standing with a stopwatch and hoping his thumb is quick enough to catch your time and things like that. So that it's hard and accurate data, and I think that's important as well.
Yeah, for sure. Important. And just with what the game is, well, in sports, what they're going to, analytics becoming a huge thing. Not being exactly an analytic, but to be able to have this data going to be so huge for colleges out there, maybe to looking to recruit the kid down the line. And like you said, just create some good competition between these kids, between their friends here. Bill Johnson, Executive Director of Football Manitoba, joined me on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Bill, thanks for taking the time. You take care. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.
You as well, Graeme.
And Executive Director Bill Johnson joined the show here on Rise and Shine Manitoba. We're going to take another commercial break here in the show. We're going to bring you guys the final interview of today's episode. Of course, later on, after that interview, we'll move into this week's edition of Graham's Opinion. But first off, another interview coming up here on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. Stick with us after the commercial break.
Hello, my name is Lorena Mitchell, owner of Evolve Green. And here at Evolve Green, we take the environment very seriously. We have a 10 kilowatt solar system that offsets our main facility by 75%, as well as maintaining natural prairie on our grounds. Our mission, creating renewables that work for you. I started Evolve Green in 2008 with a passion for the environment and wanting to change my corner of the world. And that remains the same today. Through design, consult, and installation, we provide renewable energy systems and storage integration. Here at Evolve Green, we help Canadians rethink power and storage to help fortify our children's future. To learn more, visit evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on this Wednesday morning. I haven't been outside yet today, but I'm looking outside my window right now, and it's looking kind of cloudy out, which, kind of sucks. Was kind of Hoping for a sunny, nice day here today, but can't complain. Beautiful day to be alive, right? So no matter what, just a blessing to wake up every day and being able to do stuff like this. I want to thank everyone that's taking the time or who is going to watch this episode, no matter when you do. Your support means a lot to us. If you enjoy our shows here, if you enjoy this show, be sure to like this episode, throw it a like, comment, share, whatever you got to do, whatever you want to do to, share this episode, because like I always say, I've said it on Coffee with Graeme, I've said it on the Prospect Show, and I'll say it on this show. Any way we're able to grow not only the athletes, their team's pages, who they are here on the network, that just benefits everyone involved. That's the goal of ASTV Productions, is just to get as many eyes on these great athletes here in North America. Just talking about, segments like the Farm Report, the Solar Report, having a guy like Bill Johnson on executive director, just everyone that we have on the show is here. It goes the same for them, even though they aren't athletes, even though they aren't playing sports. Just if we're able to get as many eyes on their segments, just helps us grow and helps get some popularity on a brand like Evolve Green, for example, or for Harry's segment, Wolf Enterprises as the sponsor for that, and just for so many things. Just the gist of it, the moral of the story. Just feel free, if you enjoy our shows, to share, like, react if you're on Facebook, comment, whatever you want to do to spread awareness about this show here. Rise and Shine Manitoba and our other shows here on ASTV Productions. But that's enough of me rambling, speaking gibberish a bit, just kind of repeating some of my words there. But welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba. Of course, Bill Johnson, Executive Director of Football Manitoba, joined the show here in the last segment. We're going to go into our final interview now with Gordie Tumilson, Marketing Director and goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. He joins me on the show today. He joined me last night, actually, to talk about the past weekend of games for the Academy. Their U15 Mil Prep program was in action, as well as their U17 Mil Prep program. And we talk about the past weekend of games and what is coming up for the Academy. Not only tonight, as the U18 female prep team has a game at Blackjack Stewart Arena at 7 p.m. against St. Mary's. Not only that game, but we also talk about the other games coming up here for Pilot-Mound that will, some of them will be played on the network, some of them will be not. So find out what some of those games you guys can watch on the network coming up here with Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. Joining the show now is Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. Joining the show to talk about the past weekend of games for the Academy. Two teams were in action, the U15 Male Prep program as well as the U17 Male Prep program this past weekend. Gordie joined me on this Tuesday evening, the day before this episode goes out. Gordie, got to start off by asking, how are you doing? How have you been since the last time that we've talked?
Well, really good. Been on the ice a lot with some of the teams in Winnipeg that I help out with as well. So, and just got off the ice this evening here with both the U17s and the U18 girls programs and a goalie meeting and now we're doing the broadcast, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, folks. I just realized something that I just put in the wrong file for you guys to see there. We're going to get Gordie back here in the studio in just a moment here. The reason why I needed to take that video off just now was because there was a weird noise that happened in Gordie's background. It has something to do with his laptop. Wasn't very fun for me to listen to, and I know it wouldn't have been fun for you guys to listen to that sound. So I cut that out, that sound that was happening. You guys can hear it in one of his answers. But after that, it pretty much went away. Well, it did go away, but we're going to play you guys the segment here. Here we go. Here's the actual segment with that noise cut out for in that one part that I was talking about. You guys, like I said, will be able to hear it in one of his answers, but after that answer he gives, after that answer Gordie gives, you guys won't hear it anymore. So here we go. Second time's the charm. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director. On the show now is Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, joining the show to talk about the past weekend of games for the academy. Two teams were in action: the U15 male prep program as well as the U17 male prep program this past weekend. Gordie, join me on this Tuesday evening, the day before this episode goes out. Gordie, got to start off by asking, how are you doing? How have you been since the last time that we've talked?
Well, really good. Been on the ice a lot with some of the teams in Winnipeg that I help out with as well. So, and just got off the ice this evening here with both the U17s and the U18 girls programs and a goalie meeting and now we're doing the broadcast, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Get to know that you were on the ice working with not only teams in Pilot-Mound, but teams you work with in Winnipeg as well. Just speak about what the goalies were working on today in practice with you.
Well, we've got some movement drills that we continue to work on. There, that's a constant where we change up some game situations and whatnot. That a lot of edge work from their knees, and we're doing some balance drills, skating forward and backwards, going up and down, and keeping our balance and those kinds of things. Working around behind the goal, stopping pucks, making passes around the boards or tape to tape, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we get about 15 minutes at the start of every practice to do something that's special. We also have a drill we call in and out drill, where one goalie starts in the net and makes a save and then gets out going to one side or the other, and the other goalkeeper's right beside them, comes into the net, makes a save and gets out, and the other goalie comes in, and back and forth, and it's lots of fun. It's a bit of a chuckle, and if I bang one off the kids' heads, I pay them $5. So today was an expensive day for me. It cost me $10.
Well, goalie's getting rewarded, of course, getting some money from old Gordie Tumilson over here. $10 for, I guess, Gordie. But yeah. Talking about the past weekend now, diving into the U15s, they played in one game against the Rink on the road and ended up losing 16-0. A lot of shots against in that game on you guys, but just speak about that game, that match.
Well, the score is indicative of the play. It really is. The bigger centers, the Winnipeg, the Calgary, those kinds of places, sort of have access to a gazillion players, and our people come from a lot of different places. Not as an excuse, just the way that goes. But at the end of the trip, we get taught a lesson, and that's okay. The ice seems to be slanted in one direction, and these kids are really talented. They're on the average, they're a year older than our players. So we find that the extra weight and the extra skills that some of these kids have, even through just 1 year, really makes a difference. And so you sort of multiply that over the total team, and we're in for it. But you know what? Our guys are learning from that, even though it's a tough experience. I can always allude to the World Championships many years ago in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, when teams like Sweden and Norway and Finland and Germany and those places would compete against Canada and the U.S. and get beat by the same kinds of scores. And over time, you just get better because you're playing against better competition. So that's what we think, and we know that we're going to be better for it by the end of the season and maybe give these guys some more competition. But the goalie's got a good workup. We had 75 shots that actually hit the net. So we made 55 or 56 saves between the two goalkeepers. And I'm going to say that 30 or 40 shots went wide or high, which was indicative of what the goalies were trying to do. We were trying to cut the angle off, keep the shots from going in and making the other team work a little harder to score on us, and they worked hard, and they were good at it, passing the puck, getting it out behind us, backdoor goals. But those are always defensible if we can get our defense to sort of figure that out. So we had a bit of a game plan to take the shots away and not let the shots go in, and maybe sort of allow some other plays to happen, and see how that worked. And so now we know how to defense sort of both sides of that coin, and we're better for it. We're going to be more prepared the next time. So yeah, so that's the scheme there. That as far as the game on that in that particular game went, we got a lot of experience out of it, and our players now. And the interesting part, the other interesting part was there were a lot of scouts in the stands, and it's amazing how the scouts ignore the score and really just watch the players, and they see how the players on the obviously the better team handle themselves, but they also get to see the players on the not better team and how those players handle themselves. The goalies, of course, are not automatic. They're kind of in the line of fire, so they get to be seen. But the kids that are playing well, that are doing good things, they get noticed and recognized. And I think a lot of people realize that the scouts don't care what the score is. They just look at the game as it is, and they see what they see, and they make notes based on that. And so some of our players will have been noticed, even though the score was way out of line. Other than the goalies, some of the other players have been noticed for sure.
Yeah, that's great to hear that even though the score was completely in the other team's favor in that game, it's great to know that the scouts still keeping an eye out on some of the players on Pilot-Mound's, the U15 team. Talk about some of those players that, scouts might have been having their eye on this past weekend for that U15 team.
Well, I can name two of them, and then they're both defensemen. Sutherland and Carroll's on defense, number 2 and 3. They're both excellent skaters. They're both little guys too. This is that year that they're missing against these other big people. So they're a little bit undersized in terms of playing against some of these big folks. But at the end of the day, their skill level gets them they get in the way of things. They certainly disrupt plays. They make good passes. They can skate. They handle the puck well when they get it, and they defend around the goal as much as they can until they grow up a little bit further and get a little more strength and size. They're going to be a mismatch there, but until once that changes, their skill level is so high that in fact they'll be people to watch forever as they grow up into junior hockey.
Yeah, for sure. Both Gage Sutherland and Carson Carrolls have looked very strong this year for the U15s. Just very reliable back there on the back end, and to everything you said about them, those just some of their strengths. Strong skaters, of course, probably the most notable thing. But moving into the U17 program now, the U17 Mill Prep program, the other team that was in action for the academy this past weekend in Cairnport, Saskatchewan, played the Prairie Hockey Academy in 3 games, lost 3 of those games. But just talk about this past weekend, the road trip out to Cairnport, Saskatchewan for the U17s playing against the Prairie Hockey Academy.
Yeah, it was a good weekend despite the fact that we lost the 3 games, but the 3 games were a lot closer than we've had, and the teams are a little bit more sort of equal. The Cairnport guys they have a bit of a veteran team compared to our literally almost rookie team. We've got a couple of guys back from last year, but that's it. So we are still coming together. And of course, when you get clobbered with some of the games that we've had, that doesn't help. So then we get into games that were a little more competitive, and the games were a lot closer than some of the scores. But our guys started to be able to show some of their skills. Again, the teams are a little bit more equal. So we had a lot more way in the offense. We were getting between 20 and 30 shots on goal. And that's a good thing. We got a couple of goals in each game. That's a good thing. And we started to win some battles and not be outsized and outskated and by just vastly superior teams. This other team has again played together a little bit longer than we have. So Again, not an excuse, just a good reason. They're together and they've been moving the puck, and they know where they're going to be. And our guys are still trying to figure that out when they play against teams that are more equal in style and play. So, and unfortunately, our goalies didn't play as well as we'd like to have had happen, but they kind of you sort of hit a bump in the road a little bit. So we'll correct that. We started to correct that this evening at our team practice, and we'll continue to work on that stuff. They're going off to Calgary tomorrow, so we had to kind of settle things down and get them back on a good playing track where they can play at a high level of consistency, and that's kind of important for us.
Yeah, for sure. We'll also dive into their trip to Calgary in just a bit here. But diving into the U18s now, no games this past weekend. Haven't played a game since October 10th, but they'll be in action tonight. Yes, tomorrow night, as of the time of this recording of this interview. But when this episode airs, they'll be playing tonight on Wednesday at 7 p.m. at home at Blackjack Stewart Arena against St. Mary's. After being off for so long, not playing in a game for such a long time, for the past 17 days. What should we expect out of this U18 team going up against St. Mary's, just with what they've been working on since their last game?
Well, we should be better now. We do have a couple of girls out with injuries and some sicknesses, so that's kind of running through us right now, colds and the flu a little bit. But besides that, I mean, our team should be better. We should be moving the puck better. We should be defending better. For the first time, the coaches have started to work on power play and penalty kill. That seems like it's been forever to do that, and it has been. So we're going to be a little bit sharper when we have those kinds of situations occur. And St. Mary's, is a pretty darn good team, and they're a veteran team too. And being a big school and whatnot, they're not quite the same level at the moment as Balmoral Hall and the Rink. I think they've lost to both of those two teams, and so by a few goals. So we hope that we can bring our game up a little bit and keep the games in good stead and maybe eke out a win if our goalkeepers perform the way we know they can. We can certainly keep the games close. And with that, you never know. We get the one, bounce here and bounce there, and get a win. We're ready for a win, and the fact that we haven't played has been a bummer, I guess. But we had 3 games canceled on a weekend, not this past one, but the one before. So it's kind of sort of demoralizing a little bit when COVID or other circumstances get in the way of play. But we understand that, and we play again Wednesday, and then one more game on the weekend.
Yeah, and that game on the weekend, exhibition game against the Eastman Selects at their home rink in Niverville. But talking about this upcoming weekend, we've already talked about the U18s we just did, of course. But the U15s in action against the U15 Notre Dame Hounds team on Saturday and Sunday, and U17s in Calgary. Let's talk about the U15s going up against this Notre Dame Hounds U15 team this weekend. What we should expect from Notre Dame, what we should expect in those games from the U15s.
Well, we certainly Notre Dame is, if they come out the way they did in the first game that we played them, and they sort of cleaned our clocks a little bit. They're going to be they're a fast team. They're tenacious. They forecheck, et cetera, et cetera. And then we beat them the next day, 4-3, and our goalkeeper played really well. And so I'm not sure what's going to happen. It depends what team shows up on both sides. But if our guys, our guys have been working on their defensive play. Where to cover, who to cover, when to cover, all that kind of good stuff, and certainly on the offense and more on the specialty teams as we've gone along here in the last couple of weeks. So, the longer we go along here, we should be better all of the time. It may be small steps, it may be certain individuals that are getting better by a little bit, but that's what we expect to happen. That's what we're here for. Player development is the key for us. The teams don't go anywhere in real life except beyond, if they win a championship or whatnot. But the players move on to other levels of hockey. Hopefully, after they've left Pilot-Mound in grade 12, they go to junior hockey for the boys or college or university. And of course, if the girls, they go to higher education and whatnot. So we're expecting Notre Dame to be a fast team. We're going to be a fast team, and a little less shy, that we were in the first game that we played them. We're going to be a little bit more tenacious too.
Yeah, for sure. Going to be exciting to watch those two games. Of course, ASTV Productions will be in Pilot-Mound to broadcast both of those games, along with the game tonight, tomorrow as of this recording, for the U18s going up against St. Mary's. But one last thing before I let you go here, Gordie. Just talking about the U17s going into Calgary on Thursday. Starting up on Thursday, playing their games in Calgary. Just talk about what the expectations are for the team this in those games. Getting a road trip to Calgary this season. Not a road trip, I guess. Taking a plane out there and playing in those games.
Sure. Well, it is a road trip of sorts. They're going to play three. We've got 3 scheduled games, and then on Thursday and Friday, and then we play some games on the weekend, depending on where we finish in the standings during the showcase. We expect our teams to be better, faster, and more sure of themselves. That's been one thing that we're really struggling with, is just being sure what the other guys are doing on my line. They're trying to still kind of sorting the lines out and those kinds of things, the defensive pairings, so that those things are not easy to figure out and come by. And so we think all of those things will improve as we go through the weekend. These games can only help us get better, and as we work towards Christmas and then the playoffs, those are where our goals are, to be better at Christmas and work through the early part of next year, of January and February, and then really produce some good hockey, better hockey, best hockey that we can as we go in the playoffs, and maybe knock some guys off that might not think that we're quite capable of doing that. But this weekend will be another proving ground for some of our players, and see where they're at and see where their growth is.
Well, I can't say, my excitement for the games for the U17s in Calgary, because we won't be there here at ASTV. But ASTV, of course, going to be in Pilot-Mound this weekend to watch the U15 male prep program take on the Notre Dame Hounds U15 team. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, joined me this week on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Gordie, take care. See you this weekend.
Thanks, Graeme.
And Gordie Tumilson, marketing director and goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, joining the show here on this Wednesday morning. I guess yesterday, as we were saying in the broadcast, did that interview with him last night. Great to have Gordie on the show once again here for another week on Rise and Shine. And of course, like mentioned in that interview tonight, the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U18 female prep program will be in action at home at 7 p.m. at Blackjack Stewart Arena to take on the St. Mary's team that is coming into Pilot-Mound to play them. Of course, ASTV Productions will be covering that game. I'll be on the call. Cody Wall, ASTV Productions color commentator, as well as the third person on our crew, the third man on our crew, Seth Rock. We will be calling the game tonight, and puck drops at 7 p.m. We'll have a pregame show before that to get you guys set for tonight's matchup, probably going 15 minutes before, doing a 15-minute pregame show, so that should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun tonight in Pilot-Mound, Manitoba. Something that snuck up on us on the schedule. We did not have that in our broadcast schedule that we distribute out to the people that work for us, that work at the broadcast at the game. So it crept up, but we're going to be happy to be in Pilot-Mound tonight to cover that game between the U18 female prep program and St. Mary's. Coming up after the commercial break, we're going to have a segment of Graeme's opinion for you guys. That's going to end off the show. And going to see another commercial from Evolve Green here. I'm just noticing that commercials are kind of looking slim today, especially with us only having 2 official sponsors in today's episode. So we're going to take a commercial break. You guys will hear from Evolve Green in their Earth Saver commercial as it's listed here. Stick around though after the break. Graeme's opinion coming up here on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, here on ASTV.
Earth Saver. We at Smiley Worms would like to introduce you to our original vermicompost idea. If you're here looking at this, you probably know vermicompost is the best natural soil amendment man or nature has created. The big idea was the Earth Saver. Everything in this bag was kept out of landfills and pre-composted and fed to our worms. Canadians send an average of 720 kilograms per person of organic waste to the landfill each year. We found this alarming. Many Canadians realize it's a problem, but do not have a solution. Most people do not compost. You can be a part of the solution. Buy a bag of Earth Saver to feed your healthy soil. We can only guarantee this. We kept it out of the landfill, your worms ate it, and your plants will love it. These will be great for your home, garden project, or even a fundraiser. Still not convinced? Send us an email. We'll send you a free sample. You'll love it. This is work and product we're most proud of. One last thing. We're located in Manitoba. If we're too far from you, contact us anyway. We may know someone. Worm farmers are awesome breed.
Well, welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba. I guess that was not a commercial from Evolve Green, but from Smiley's. And yeah, check them out for sure. If you guys want to, get in contact with them. Some great stuff definitely shown in that commercial. So, check them out for sure if you guys are interested. But yeah, welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba. We're going to dive into a segment of Graeme's opinion now. And I want to start off by saying this. There was a lot more that I wanted to cover today in Graeme's opinion, but I've come to the realization that with how busy my schedule is, I really have no time to watch the CFL this year. I've been able to watch the odd game here or there, but there's some stuff that I'm reporting on that, some players not even in the lineup, and I should have had that sorted out before I went. And that just comes down to me just really not being able to follow the league this year. I've enjoyed doing the power rankings. I've enjoyed doing my predictions for the upcoming games, which, by the way, I did nail 4 for 4 last week, which is pretty awesome. But I just feel like I want to cover stuff on here on Graeme's opinion that I can actually give my opinion on, not just going off of stats, because stats only tell the whole story. There's a lot of context that goes into sports. How those stats came to be, are they, playing efficient football? Are they, struggling a bit out there? Were they struggling for 3 quarters? Were they only doing good things for 1 quarter? Were they, playing a complete game? Stuff like that. Just stuff that I haven't really been able to dive into because I haven't really been able to watch games. As for the NHL stuff this week, going to be talking about the Jets and Anaheim game, but just in terms of the list, I feel like I got this list about out a bit too late. That's the word I was looking for. And honestly, I thought of it. What I'm going to be doing from now on, I'm not going to give you guys my top 10 players and top 10 goalies on today's episode, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to watch as much hockey as I can, as much hockey as I'm able to with how busy my schedule is. But gonna be giving you guys, I'm thinking, monthly top 10 players list in the NHL, a monthly top 10 rankings in terms of centermen, left wingers, defensemen, goaltenders in the league. Because, like I said, I like football. Haven't really been able to watch much NHL in the past few years because I've been pretty busy. So yeah, just gonna react to stuff that I actually see now. Of course, stats are a great way to tell who's been playing good and, who's been doing good. Of course, McDavid, for example, putting up the stat line he's been putting up. I mean, if you just watch him, that he's insane, but the stats are just a plus for him putting up the stats, just showing what type of player he is, what type of offense he's able to produce. That's what those stats tell. But other than that, I just want to watch the games more so I can give you guys my full opinion on it and not just go off of stats is what I'm trying to say. So shall we begin? Graham's opinion. We'll start off with something that I want to talk about is Tim Hortons and Morden and Winkler. I haven't been to Tim Hortons really here in Winnipeg in a long time, but I know service is usually good. They usually get you the food you want, and sometimes they're out of breakfast, but not often. So the reason I bring up Morden and Winkler, their Tim Hortons locations, is because for us at ASTV, we travel together, carpool on the way to our games to Pilot-Mound, on the way to our broadcast to there, and as well as to our broadcast to Morden to cover Pembina Valley, right? And me and my boss, it's usually me and him in the car when we do go to Tim's. Sometimes maybe one of the other people from our crew, but usually me and my boss just looking to get something from Tim Hortons. Well, in Morden, Manitoba, apparently they don't serve breakfast after 6 p.m. or something like that, after a certain amount of time. But my boss, and this is inspired by Glenn Munford, the man who owns ASTV, the man who runs things here. He brought up a good point. If you're the breakfast place in Canada, if you're an all-day, 24/7 breakfast place, 24 hours a day, you're serving breakfast, how do you run out of breakfast so often? This hasn't only happened once, but it's happened every single time. Not that they've ran out, but that they can't serve it is what I'm trying to say. And this has happened almost every time. You've gotten like 6 p.m. times is when they can't serve breakfast after then, 4 p.m. times. And the reason they always say it is because of COVID. Now, COVID-19, a deadly virus, rest in peace to everyone who's died from the disease. Just an awful tragedy that we've seen with just this pandemic in the past 2 years, pretty much going on 2 years now. But how does COVID, not allow my boss, Glenn, to get his farmer sausage wrap? How does COVID affect if people can get breakfast at a breakfast fast food restaurant? Just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it's not the best for business, If that starts becoming your rep in places like Morden and Winkler that you can't serve breakfast after a certain time, then, I don't think I'd be going to Tim's very often knowing that if I want like a farmer sausage wrap, one of those bagel belts with egg on it, I'm not going to be able to get that. Why would I go? Now, myself, I always order like the chicken bacon ranch wrap, maybe a bagel, maybe a donut, maybe an ice cap here or there. Those are like things I order from Tim's, and even I wasn't able to get that because they ran out of supplies to make the chicken bacon ranch wrap one of the times that we went to Tim's. But I don't know what it's like for other places like in Winnipeg for Tim's, because like I said, I haven't actually been to Tim's in Winnipeg in such a long time. But if this is a trend throughout Tim Hortons that they can't serve breakfast after a certain amount of time due to COVID-19, it just doesn't add up. Could it be a cover up for something? Maybe these places are losing money. I'm not too sure. That's just all speculation. But to not serve breakfast after a certain amount of time, and your reason is because of COVID-19, what is COVID gonna affect the eggs more than any food in the restaurant? It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't really know, but that's my Tim Hortons rant. Morden, Winkler, Tim's, respect, you guys are giving us some good food most of the time. Food's been a bit iffy at times at Tim's, but what are you doing? Why I want to know that from the owners of those two installments of those two Tim Hortons, both in Morden and Winkler. Why do you not serve breakfast after a certain amount of time when you're an all-day breakfast place, and that's when that's what you're known for? And also, if it's not just places in Morden or in Winkler, but all Tim's in general here in Canada or in Winnipeg and other parts of Manitoba, just why are you doing that? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's mind-boggling because it's an all-day breakfast place. That's what Tim Hortons is known for. Besides their coffee, of course, the coffee, the biggest thing they're known for. But yeah, that's my Tim Hortons rant. We're going to get into the Winnipeg Jets and Anaheim Ducks recap and breakdown now. The Winnipeg Jets in Anaheim last night to take on the Ducks. And the Jets ended up winning this one 4-3. There was a huge third period, a lot of goals that were scored. The shots were 35-25 for the Ducks in this game. And let's just break this down period by period. First period, it was scoreless, but the shots 13-5 for Anaheim. And this was a strong period from the Anaheim Ducks, I thought. Having active sticks, getting in lanes, taking away the neutral zone, playing 1-3-1, really making it difficult for the Jets to break out and trying to get aggressive with some stretch passes, with some longer passes, and just urgency on the forecheck as well. All those things I talked about, like getting in lanes, active sticks, that all stemmed down to how, they were forechecking, how urgent they were on the forecheck. And I thought for the Jets in that period, even though Anaheim was doing a lot of good things, this was a pretty weak period from the Jets, making a lot of mistakes, forcing passes that weren't there, trying to get it up in the neutral zone with some stretch passes. But with how Anaheim was playing, that just made it so tough for the Jets to be able to do that. And turning the puck over, not poised with the puck. That's what I think a lot of the time that they had it. They seemed like they were kind of antsy with the puck, trying to make the big play, and it wasn't really happening, and didn't really have success generating zone entries because we weren't really able to get that first pass most of the time to, maybe our defensemen sends it to our centerman in a short pass in the defensive zone for us to be able to break out. But yeah, the Jets really, I think Neil Pionk was the guy during intermission that came on, said they didn't feel connected. They need to become more connected as a team. And you could really see that they weren't really simplifying the game. They weren't really being connected as a team, breaking out of the zone, worrying about that first before getting into the neutral zone. And then after that, getting into the offensive zone. Really a trickle-down effect that happened because the Jets really were, forcing a lot of plays that, might have been there, but weren't the highest percentage passes. But looking at that second period, Jets cleaned things up a bit and weren't as anxious with the puck, taking what Anaheim was giving them, which I don't think they were doing in that period, like a simple D-to-D pass, taking the space that was given to them, and more support from players on outlet passes, and on pressures as well on the forecheck. A prime example being Cal Connor's goal. Him in the defensive zone being there for support when one of our guys, I believe, tied one of Anaheim when the Jets, I forget who, but tied one of Anaheim's players up. Kyle Connor gets it in the neutral zone, picks it up, sees some open ice in front of him in the neutral zone, saw the neutral zone open up a bit, able to break into the zone, really taking what was given to him and then feeding the pass, a little draw pass to Pierre-Luc Dubois, who, even though we had a struggling third period, has looked pretty solid for the Jets this year. But Pierre-Luc Dubois being able to get that puck, driving it wide and sending the pass in the slot for Svechnikov for the Jets. And, Anaheim in that period got theirs. Trevor Zegras, by example, the one who created the chance on Anaheim's goal there, pressures DeMello, who passes it in the area of Schmidt, but Schmidt a bit too relaxed, gets stripped by Zegras on the play, and Zegras able to, skate around with the puck a bit, able to create some time and space for him and his teammate. Well, for his teammate, I believe it was Sonny Milano, and finding him with the pass. And one thing that I think the Jets have been struggling on this season has been just in the zone puck watching, not being completely assignment sound at times, really getting sucked into, looking at that puck, not really where the man is that they need to cover. But overall, a better period for the Jets. Shots ended up being 15-10 for the Ducks. Looking at this third period, big third period, of course, the Jets scoring 3 and Anaheim scoring 2, and Anaheim led twice in that period. The Jets tying it up both times, of course. We'll get into Nikolai Ehlers in just a moment here with how clutch he was, because, wow, what a performance for him in the last minute and a half in that game. But I didn't really get to watch much of this third period. Girlfriend was over. We were watching some scary movies. Well, a scary movie, since it is Halloween season, spooky season. But yeah, really the Jets on that first goal, from looking at it on the highlights, really stemmed down to PLD being kind of careless with the puck, throwing it up the middle, turning it over, and creating a chance for Anaheim. There was a screen on the play, making it difficult for Connor Hellebuck to see. And really, that he might have saved it if PLD, trying to bat it down with his glove, if you didn't do that, ends up hitting a piece of it, and that changes the trajectory of the shot a bit. But the Jets, able to be aggressive on their goal in the defensive zone, taking away the man and breaking out, and a nice passing play developed there. Kopp, who's been having a nice start to his season, able to finish it in the zone. But again, the Jets, turning the puck over again in on that second goal, and able to find Trevor Zegras once again. Was, I forget, an Anaheim player passing to him, and he was wide open, had open ice, and able to walk in and snipe it on Connor Hellebuck. And that just comes down to the Jets once again. Puck watching, I'm pretty sure it was Kopp. Might have not been Kopp. I don't know who was out there for the Jets off the top of my head, but just getting sucked into where the puck is, not where the man is. And the Jets doing that on that play allows Zegras to find that open space and not really be challenged. He was kind of in alone, and he was in alone on the goaltender, and snipes it on Connor Hellebuck. And the Jets, that's something they need to clean up, is being more assignment sound, not getting sucked into that puck as much. But hey, with great Paul Maurice, they're going to make that adjustment. Being a bit sarcastic, to be honest, I think Paul Maurice should be fired at this point, even though this team is very talented and he's gotten us to the playoffs. But that's a topic for another day. Let's get back to this. But the Jets in the final period, and in the final moments of this game, Nikolai Ehlers, in the offensive zone, gets the puck after it was tied up, and just puts a beautiful shot on net from a really awkward angle, from a sharp angle, we'll call it that, and snipes it up top shelf to tie this game. And then again, off the face-off, in the next play, of course, the Jets did pull their goalie to get that extra man out, but to get more bodies on the ice for Winnipeg on that goal from Nikolai Ehlers. But once again, off the face-off draw, Jets get puck possession back, passes it to Ehlers, and Ehlers throws it on net and ends up getting his second goal of the game. And I'm not too sure. Nikolai Ehlers has been, struggling to get on the score sheet offensively. Just want to see, that was his first 2 goals of the season, Nikolai Ehlers. Just coming up big time for the Jets when they needed to. But overall, in this game, the Jets getting a 4-3 win. 35-25 were the shots in total, and both teams on the man advantage didn't score a goal. I thought, the Jets, even though they were running around at times, were doing a good job at times as well on the penalty kill of having active sticks, getting into the lanes, and really pressuring the puck carrier on that penalty kill. I thought that Anaheim in that game did a really good job of forechecking the Jets, making them force some turnovers, making them make mistakes. And, one more thing about the Jets, I think, like I said, I think that this team is moving in the right direction in the offensive zone, but with the offensive talent that they have, that should be a given. Of course, Scheifele and Wheeler being out, I think Scheifele being out more important at this point, even though the captain Blake Wheeler was out, but haven't been able to generate much offense without Mark Scheifele at times when he's been out of the lineup. And I think we've seen that in the past here, looking at the Jets in the playoffs when Mark Scheifele's been out. But that aside, a nice game for players like Svechnikov, Kopp, and my boy Nikolai Ehlers to step up in that game. But like I was saying, the Jets moving the puck around nicely. In the offensive zone, I think from what I've been seeing this season, making quick passes, able to open up time and space for themselves by being poised with the puck. Something I thought got better for Winnipeg as the game went along was just them being more poised with that puck, taking the time and space that was given to them. But still, the Achilles heel of this team, I think, is their defensive zone coverage, even though we've improved our defensive zone our defensemen, our D-core this offseason. We loaded up getting Schmidt and Dillon. That's definitely improvements. But if you're not able to go out there and, execute the game plan defensively, if you're stuck puck watching and not being as assignment sound as the Jets haven't really been in these first few games, you're going to pay. And, Anaheim, a young team, but they're not one of the best teams in the league. The Jets could have a bit of a rude awakening against some of the tougher teams in this league when they do play them. If those defensive zone struggles, those missed assignments continue to happen, and we're stuck puck watching once again, or the Jets are stuck puck watching once again. And I think another thing that they just need to work on, and I think it's something that got better during the game as it went along, was just transitioning out of the defensive zone, getting breaking out of the zone with more ease, just kind of taking what opponents are giving you. This is an aggressive Winnipeg Jets team, a team that loves to try to be on the rush as many times as possible in a game. A team that, their strength is their aggressiveness and their forwards and them being aggressive. And I think that they just need to dial that down a bit in the neutral zone, especially against a team like Anaheim, who was playing a 1-3-1, making it difficult to get by with that much support and how aggressive they were in the neutral zone. But the Jets, like I said, as the game went along, well, at least into the second period, did a lot better of making more of those simple plays like DD passes, slowing it down a bit. Centerman also coming down for more support to be there, opening up in the open spots, getting open in the open spots is what I'm trying to say, to receive a pass, finding that open ice, and just getting those quicker passes in the defensive zone as well, finding that time and space for the Winnipeg Jets. So, the Winnipeg Jets have now won 3 games in a row, 2 of those coming to the Anaheim Ducks. They improved to 3-2-1 on the season. They're currently 3rd place in the Central Division right now, 3 points back of both St. Louis and Minnesota. And looking at Anaheim, after their somewhat strong start to the season, not their somewhat strong start, but after starting off the season 2-1, beating the Jets to open the season 4-1, then losing to the Wild 2-1, and winning against Calgary 3-2 in overtime. They haven't had a win since, even though they've been 3 1-goal game losses, 1 4-goal loss to the Jets when they lost 5-1 last Thursday. Overall, right now, Anaheim struggling to get in the win column with 4 losses in a row. Anaheim's next game will be on Thursday, so tomorrow, against the Buffalo Sabres, who have been a pleasant surprise to the start of the season, 4-1-1. I know I've called them a dumpster fire of an organization, but maybe they're finally starting to turn it around. It is still early in the season. We'll have to wait and see, of course. But I'll be honest, I'd love to see Buffalo make the playoffs this season. That fan base loves hockey. They're passionate about it. And it's been so long since this team has been good. It would be awesome to see them do good this season and continue the early season success, even though I've been critical of them in the past and calling them a dumpster fire of an organization. But the Jets, after starting off the season with, 3 losses in a row, this team has now won 3 games in a row, of course, 2 wins coming to the Anaheim Ducks. And one of those wins coming on this past Saturday against the Nashville Predators. And the Jets going up against the Los Angeles Kings, who are 1-4-1 so far this season. The Kings probably going to come out and be hungry in this game, coming out to try to get back in the win column. Of course, Jets will be in LA for that game. So that's going to do it for this edition of Graham's Opinion on ASTV Productions. On Rise and Shine Manitoba as well. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, on today's edition of Rise and Shine. We're going to sign off now, but before I do that, I want to thank the guests who came on today's edition of the show. In Harry Siemens on the Farm Report, Lorena Mitchell on the Solar Report, Bill Johnson, Executive Director of Football Manitoba, as well as Gordie Tumilson. And I also want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to this week's edition of Rise and Shine. And I also want to thank our sponsors in today's episode, and not only Evolve Green and AETi, but Smiley's and Beauty Systems College as well, for sponsoring this episode. And Rise and Shine Manitoba returning next week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. We'll start on time next week, folks. I know I started late. I had some technical difficulties before the show today, but we got it up and running, of course. Next week's edition of the show going at 10 a.m. Going to have Gordie Tumilson on the show again from Pilot-Mound. Going to have Lorena Mitchell for the weekly Solar Report, as well as Harry Siemens and some other guests potentially too. So stay tuned for that on our social medias, on our Instagram, our Facebook, and on our Twitter, where you can see when we post, who the guests, who are going to be the guests on the edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. That should be coming sometime next week when that full guest list is announced. So stay tuned for that on our social media. And next time you can watch this episode is next Wednesday at 10 a.m. You can catch it live on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our website at astvproductions.com, or on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, and anywhere else you guys watch our episodes for Rise and Shine here on ASTV. And an edition of Coffee with Graeme coming up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. That episode will be live on our Facebook, our website, and on our Twitter as well. Going to have that guest list for you guys at some point today, so stick around for that. So for those of you that are going to watch the game tonight between the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy U18 female prep Buffaloes taking on St. Mary's, enjoy the game. Going to be a lot of fun. I'll be on the call along with Cody Wall and Seth Rock. Enjoy the game tonight, everyone. If you guys are going to tune into Coffee with Graeme tomorrow, I appreciate that. Can't wait to see you guys there. Of course, not literally, since I can't see you guys, just a saying that I always say. But if you guys are just going to tune into Rise and Shine next week, then I'll see you then as well, folks. So whenever you guys tune into ASTV Productions next, until then, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, folks. Stay safe out there, and have a wonderful weekend as well. Until next time here on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. I'll see you then, everyone. Goodbye. We'll see you next time, everyone. Peace.